You're strong.
I know.
It's okay. I've got you now.
Just like in the movies.
Welcome to SuperWonder Legacy episode 42. I'm Jared. I'm here with Britt. What's up, Britt?
Hello, hello.
And today we are talking about the character that DC likes to hate, and that is Wonder Woman. And you may be wondering, but Jared, she's like the third member of the Trinity. How could they hate her? It's more like the way they treat her, and we'll go over that because here's the thing. And I know I've been on a real Wonder Woman like thing recently, but hey, Tom King's run keeps pissing me off. I'm sorry, that
Co-sign.
that is a travesty.
Right, I definitely co-sign that. I mean, Tom King, he can write, one-shots. He can write miniseries at a certain level. But an ongoing, the fact that he royally screwed over the Batman run, that was a red flag, to have Batman be suicidal and obsessed with Selena, it was too much. You
That's not what
understand
Bruce
that,
is.
right? You understand that Batman does have a little he's a little unstable and emotionally stunted, but I don't think he's suicidal like that. I don't think so. And also, he might love Selena, but his first love, obsessed love, is Gotham.
And that's why,
So,
and that's why really you can't have a romantic attachment to Batman because the city and his mission's always going to come first. I mean, the reason why Selena also works, in addition to like they both love the city, is because she directly help in his mission as fighting side by side with him. So there's a little more wiggle room for Batman, but all in all, the romantic thing just doesn't work for him.
exactly. And I mean, I do like Batcat at a certain degree. But yeah, that was just too much. You wanted to, from even throwing Talia under the bus, and the way that was for Selena to beat her at a sword fight,
I was
you
about to
know,
say that.
that was too much. Like, Selena is not, or even the fact of having Selena overpower the Flashes, just things like that to make them seem like they are like this meant to be and do like this power couple thing. And that's the one thing that also peeves me the most about DC is that they want a flavor of the month, flavor of the year type couple, and they want to inorganically promote them as a power couple. But the thing is, why Superman and Wonder Woman were named the power couple, it's not the literal sense of power, the physical sense. It's more so the natural connection that they have, and also the natural sense of that spiritual connection, and being individuals, as they are two main characters, and you putting two franchises together, and how does that
Two of
work?
the most iconic franchises in comics.
Right. So that is what the definition and why they were called the power couple. And then, of course, you royally screwed that up because creatively being bankrupt and lazy and stuff like that. But all these other couples that you're trying to force that idea on Selena is part of the Batman franchise. And, with her being the love interest, she was and has been since, the 40s, her creation and the back and forth of her being a villain to an anti-hero, that back and forth thing with her. And like you said, that mutual love of Gotham, it
Mm-hmm.
works. But at the same time, again, Batman, he's not a one woman guy
Mm-mm.
because still his love for Gotham matters most. So, yeah, Selena is like, if you want to put him with someone that he can probably be seriously with, it's Selena. But also, honestly, 50-50 is Talia. And
Mm-hmm.
for you to, bend over backwards. And first it started with Morrison when
Ah,
he
yeah.
yeah, that whole thing with Damien's conception. That was just so disrespectful and so racist and and
Oh,
just
DC being racist
right.
slash xenophobic. Wow, really?
Yeah. Yeah. Surprise, surprise. Um but the fact that you still, keep that ongoing, knowing that it was a bad thing just to, screw over Talia's character. No, don't do that. And of course, with Lois and Clark. Can't stand that couple, can't stand the fans, you know. So it's
Mutual.
not even um with that, how the to say that they've been together since 1938, no,
Not
that
true.
has not been true. Um, it's just a weird thing to say that she's been the one and only when no, she hasn't. When their relationship has been toxic, even within the marriage, you know, DC how they've tried to make it work constantly, whether it's Superman not being able to be friends with Lena and Diana. Um, I mean, right now, Clark and Diana's relationship is basically non-existent because even as friends, because they are trying to push, this marriage to be the end all be all. Or at first it was with John, but he's nowhere to be found.
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, so with that, it's kind of like because they want to prop up these different relationships at some point too,
Mm-hmm.
that for some reason, whether directly or indirectly, Diana is affected. And especially with her relationship with Clark. Bruce, she didn't really have a friendship with him, is kind of distant. So I wouldn't put that. So, that's the thing. It's more so a Talia thing, but still with Tom
Mm-hmm.
King, he still used Diana um as to say like Selena is the one and only though,
Yeah.
and the reason for his plagiarism of Immortal Beloved was because the artist she didn't want to draw Hal Jordan,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess like a last minute thing, Tom he didn't she wanted to draw Wonder Woman, so the last minute thing of he couldn't think of a story, so I guess he thought that no one would know, maybe, and and he plagiarized the story, changed it up a little bit, whatever, but it was the same promise.
It
Um,
was kind of funny. Same result. It did do like another bait and switch kind of.
yeah, it did the same thing. It was the whole 1,000 years of being, time displaced or whatever like that. So, but the thing is with Tom, how he did it wasn't so much of a mutual like attraction. It was Diana being played as a temptress, trying to actively seduce Bruce.
Which
And to
that should
say
should should have been the first red flag to him writing Wonder Woman.
exactly, exactly. And for him to have her say, like, you care about her, you love her, but you're here with me. Does that even sound like Diana? You know,
No. No,
does it?
it's the standard line, Britt, that I've heard this from so many content creators. They say it's only a matter of time before Tom King ruins your favorite characters.
Exactly.
That's what he does. He's one of those writers that writes them as he wants them to be, not the way they are. And I'm
Right.
sorry, it's a pain in the ass to pick. It got to the point, Britt, before I dropped the book, that it was I was a little scared to open those books because I'm like, okay, wait a second. I'm either going to be really pissed off, most likely really pissed off, or maybe a little bit indifferent, but it was never like, oh man, this is going to be awesome.
Exactly. The first issue, it was, yeah, it wasn't just the, oh my gosh, this is like my favorite book, but it wasn't just outright boring. Um,
It got boring later on.
but yeah, it got boring later on. So
That's the thing. That's why I think they're probably gonna have King if the book keeps getting the reception it does, which it's not good reception. Even for a Wonder Woman book, it's not good reception. I think they're gonna either bring in a new writer or tell him to wrap up the Sovereign story because it's taking way too long to get to this point.
but also, what how you know that comics right now is basically like um very much friends of friends type thing, and not so much of actually giving, attention to talent, is that how is this book barely, like, it's not even at issue 12. It's not even been a year, and this book already has an Eisner nomination.
Well, it's because
Like,
Tom King always gets nominated for Eisners.
yes, and
And here's
it's
the thing, and I saw a tweet by a fellow content creator, and he said, "Yeah, the Eisners have as much validity as the Oscars at this point."
exactly, that is a very good comparison, actually.
Yeah, because
Because
these award shows really mean nothing, really,
nothing.
because it's just like who you know.
Yeah, it's very much a popularity contest because I'm like, this story has gone nowhere. How is it an Eisner? How can you do that?
If it's
So,
for the art, I can see that because that's about the only praise this book is getting lately is the art is superb, but
exactly.
it's Sampere. It's impossible for him to make bad art. So there you go.
Right, but if as a story, okay, comics are a visual medium. It is.
Mhm.
But at the same time, you have to have what's written, with the dialogue and everything like that. That has to flow. And for some reason, modern writers just cannot get the flow. They
Mm-mm.
do not know how to get the characters because they're so focused on what they prefer, which is sometimes okay if it works.
Mm-hmm.
But what Tom King has already said that he doesn't want to write Wonder Woman.
Mm-hmm.
So he didn't want to, and it's kind of like he was asked because of the reception of Supergirl. But at the same time, the Supergirl book, it was actually a low seller.
Yeah,
And
from what I remember, until Gunn announced it as like inspiration for a movie, it was like in dollar bins.
exactly. So for them to act like the Supergirl book and story was like this all-time bestseller, it already has been. No. The only reason why it's a quote unquote bestseller now is because of the movie announcement.
Well,
And I
here's the thing:
really don't like.
if it were a good bestseller, it would have already had a hardcover, but by the time it got announced, but because it only got as far as I know, it did get a hardcover edition, but only after Gunn announced it was inspiration.
Yeah, I just do not like the revisionist stuff. I really don't, because just the untruthfulness of everything. And this is supposed to be entertainment. This is
Mhm.
supposed to be an escape from all that real world type manipulation and um just all of that. But it seems like there's more drama and more, just antagonistic ways within the comic book community,
Oh
you
yeah.
know, and especially, with Wonder Woman and just this whole situation with Tom King, with her in the media in general. It just like it just feels like
Well,
I know that she's had issues like
mhm.
from from the very start
Yeah.
of what she represents and being that comics and this whole genre or whatever is a boys club. It
Hmm.
very much is. So to have a woman character that is the third pillar of, well, a franchise that is
They
supposed to be a
claim it's
top.
the third pillar.
Yeah. um for her to be who she is, but yet of course the men do not want that. And for um for the longest you see some fans say that no, it's a Robin Nightwing that is the third pillar. And it's kind of like, no, even if Wonder Woman's book isn't just the all-time bestseller, she still sells better than Nightwing. People in the general, audience, they know
They
Wonder
think of
Woman
Wonder
before
Woman
they
as
know
the third,
Nightwing.
particularly after that movie. By the way, speaking of Tom King, you heard about the Jay Lee thing, right?
Yeah, that Tom King got him fired.
Well, he didn't get him fired. Here's the story. So you know what Comics Gate is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Jay Lee did a variant cover for EVS's book Cyberfrog. And of course, Tom King took to Twitter and said, "Oh my gosh, he's a member he's associated with CG now. He did a variant cover for a hate group. He did that on Twitter." And then, like shortly thereafter, it's like Jay Lee got all these like death threats and stuff. He couldn't deal with it because he was dealing with the death of his dog. And then Tom King said, "No, don't worry." Later on, "Oh, don't worry. I talked to Jay. We're all good." Really, what it probably was DC came to him and said, "Shut up."
Oh, okay. I thought he got fired.
He didn't get
Wasn't
fired.
no,
Hmm?
Tom King, he got an editor fired.
Yeah. Oh, really? I don't know this story.
Okay, so if I'm not mistaken, um, I would have to look it up, but during the Batcat um proposal, I guess he wanted a certain artist, I guess Finch, to draw when Bruce proposed or something.
Hmm.
It was something like that, and the head editor, I guess, of course, the creative differences, whatever. But that editor was removed or fired because of Tom King for sure. I will look that up now, but yeah, it was something about an um Tom wanting to work with a certain artist, and
Hmm.
the editor said no. Tom King threw his weight around or whatever, acting like a diva in a sense, and yeah, that whole thing.
I love that Tom Diva. But anyway, so Diana needs more respect. That's the point of this because it's like they claim that she is like because she is the most iconic female superhero of all time, but yet DC doesn't give her the priority. In fact, I have it on good authority that they consider her book to be a test book for junior editors. In other words, like if you come in and be a junior editor, they put you on Wonder Woman as a practice book until you can move up to the other books.
And you know what? That is very disrespectful because, well, you know what? It makes sense, but at the same time, it's like I said, it's very disrespectful because it's kind of like when a certain artist, um, let me see, who was that? Hmm. Honestly, it happened with Semper
Oh,
because
really?
he was on Action Comics.
Okay.
Then he did Dark Crisis. Well, that's kind of backwards. And then now he's on Wonder Woman, which, because he is still considered an all-star comic artist. So I wouldn't say, well, maybe that was a bad example. But mm, as a writer, maybe
But
Azarello.
the point is that DC outwardly says that Wonder Woman's a priority, but inwardly they don't consider her a priority, and that's that's the stupid
Yeah,
part. That's why Wonder Woman's rogues are not as like well known as they should be, and that's
and that
why
is
and that's why Wonder Woman does not have as many like well known stories as Superman and Batman do.
well, the thing is, and that's the thing of there is that one panel from New 52 that Jeff Johns
Mhm,
wrote saying that
mhm,
when I deal with my villains, I deal with them, which was a total contradiction to what was actually happening in her own book and even Superman and Wonder Woman. It was that her villains were very much alive. It
mhm.
wasn't that she killed them. It was just, of course, yeah. Jeff Johns pretty much showed he didn't care for Wonder Woman. A lot of other Tomasi showed it.
Oh yeah, Tomasi again. Tomasi definitely. Tomasi is one of those creatives where when he went on to Ghost Machine, I'm like, bye.
Yeah, I mean, he really showed himself um with Rebirth,
Hmm.
with really showing how just because you actively destroyed the Superman and Wonder Woman book with no
Hmm.
regard, no, even if we did as fans want to, support if the book got canceled or whatever, have it be canceled on its own merit, as in it wasn't selling. It's
Hmm.
not that you sabotage the book, and yet it still sold, even at its, worst. It still sold better than the Rebirth books, which is embarrassing.
Yeah,
But
it's
of
really
course,
the book you're actively trying to destroy sold better than the book you were actively trying to promote.
right. So, yeah, so the reason being, and Tomasi said it, he said it, that Wonder Woman is intimidating and that she demands the spotlight. And it's like, well, yeah,
Yeah.
like,
So
duh.
does Superman, so does Batman. Or you're treating her like she's different, but she literally shares these qualities with other people. All you have to do is make a story where she fights gods or something like that. Make a standard superhero story with her. It's not that hard.
It's not, but it's the fact that she's a woman still. Is
Hmm.
just point blank is that these male writers, some of them, are not equipped to actually write female characters.
Well,
And that is why, mhm,
with the Tom King book, it's like that's an excellent example of that, Britt, because I'm sick and tired of every time they have a female character story, they have to make some commentary on gender and sexism. I'm like, I get that it makes sense for a character like Wonder Woman, but can we get at least a couple of stories where she fights like a god, where she fights like Cheetah or something like that? Does it have to? Does every book have to be a commentary on sexism? And
well,
here's the thing, it's stereotypical of the female character that she has to comment on that all the time.
the thing is with Wonder Woman, that is her purpose.
Hmm.
She is supposed to, you know, with sexism, with gender, inequality, she is supposed to take that head on. So, with that being ingrained, it's not that she's supposed to actually speak it.
Hmm.
It is it is just putting her in the scenarios and letting her not even fight, not physically fight through it, but just going through it and how to, handle it.
Hmm.
And as a woman, how does she handle this? How does she, go day by day? Yeah, her feelings we are seeing. Like I said, comics are still a visual medium.
Hmm.
So we are supposed to see by expression. We are supposed to see by action. It's not necessarily that, like we said, we don't want to have talking heads, you know. So you don't
Mhm.
have to, just be so on the nose of these topics. You can naturally have them within the story. And with the way Tom King is doing with this whole King of America sovereign thing, and the military is bad or whatever, but at the same time, you want to make an exception for Steve Trevor. Steve is actively going against Diana. Like, it, first of all,
First of all, hang on. My problem is when like he did like, oh, remember when we were tracking terrorists and we stopped to make out? I'm like, that is not Diana at all. In fact, you know what popped into my mind, Britt? That scene where Lois asked Diana when Clark is turning into Doomsday. He's like, I bet this is hard for you guys. Do you guys have like some like arrangement? He goes, no, we never had to like have an arrangement. We both know the world comes first.
right. And that is my point, is that Superman and Wonder Woman as a couple, you know, everyone on Twitter X, whatever, they have this whole like meltdown and say how they are turning into injustice, how they think of themselves as above, being gods or whatever. And it's kind of like, first of all, where is that within the books?
Mm-hmm.
Like, where is that? And the only thing that you can bring up is injustice when we all know that is a video game, a terrible now video game at that. And also,
Hey, the game is fun. The comics don't age that well.
right, and it's an Elseworld, even though
Mm-hmm.
like saying that it's an Elseworld is very cheap still, but
Mm-hmm.
it is. And then just if you know the character, you know they wouldn't act that way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very much a double standard
Mm-hmm.
because Batcat is very toxic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, um, the Silver Age, Golden Age shenanigans or whatever of Lois and Clark. Lois couldn't stand Clark, despised him, wanted to drug him at one point for a story,
Goes
wanted
all the
him
way
dead for
back
a
to
story.
1938.
Exactly. And with the Lois book that they love to talk about, that it sold well, with the fact that it said Superman's girlfriend, so it wasn't
That's
really
why she can't hold up her own book. And the one time I would love to, if someone brings that up, if I'm ever in a debate, because then I could say, "Oh, you mean the book with that put Lois in blackface? That's the one you're holding up."
that, and the fact that the whole entire point of the book was for Lois to have like these shenanigans to get Superman to marry her. It wasn't a female empowerment book.
No,
So,
I mean it's called
um,
Superman's girlfriend.
right. And just all these other couples that has had these ups and downs and very terrible writing. It's n- no couple is better than, you know, any other couple, basically. What I'm saying, everyone is flawed. So
Mm-hmm.
with Superman and Wonder Woman, it's kind of like they have this on and off thing, and but the foundation of their relationship is a friendship. So, I mean, unless you just really like Tomasi, just make them antagonistic towards each other. You cannot screw up their relationship when they have that solid foundation of their friendship and
And
being
we'll
together.
bring up later on in this episode, by the way, that there was a proposed Superman script that got this actually remarkably well. So let's
Right,
continue on as we get through this. So we're going to talk about Wonder Woman through various different lenses, from merchandising to live action movies and TV, all the way to comics. We're going to end with comics, and then we're going to talk about how we would fix Wonder Woman. So let's start with merch. By the way, still got my Superman Wonder Woman iPhone case. That's never coming off.
yes.
And
So pretty.
the more I see, it's kind of funny. You sent me that list, and I'm like, okay, I need that, I need that, I need that, I need that. You're basically screwing my credit card, Britt.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Don't be. I need more merch.
Okay, so all right, so yeah, you see Wonder Woman is like her iconic logo, with keychains, with cell phone cases, with t-shirts, with, Halloween costumes, socks, underwear, you have Wonder Woman printed on apparel.
Mhm.
And honestly, merch is it's so much bigger than comics, as
Yeah.
far as trying to get these characters out to the public and everything. So merch is a big thing. And it really generates a lot of, buzz. And the one thing about the store Hot Topic, when New 52 came about and there was tons of Superman and Wonder Woman apparel. You had bags, t-shirts, keychains, rings, matching rings. You had all of this different stuff. And what Hot Topic, um, as the store, of course, is self-explanatory as what it's called. It's the Hot Topic of, the year or whatever like that. And of course, DC has tried to collaborate with them, and they have Harley Quinn, they have Batman, they have Joker. Um, I think they've had Harley Ivy. Um, but
They might.
honestly, the main couples that move merch is Superman and Wonder Woman, Batcat, Harley Ivy, Harley Joker, and oh,
Well, that's
that's
concerning.
yeah, well, that's it.
Well,
Yeah, it is concerning with Harley Joker, but
yeah.
it is it is what it is with
Squad
them.
movie was cut. Because if you notice when that Suicide Squad movie came out, people were like, "Oh, Joker and Harley are couples goals," and as a comic book reader, I'm like, "Oh no!"
Right, yeah. There was a quote saying something about the queen, his queen, or something like that. I
Mm-hmm.
forgot the whole scene, but yeah, that became a meme from the movie, and I'm like, oh wow. But it is what it is.
But
Um,
actually, it's just what's kind of interesting. So Marvel has the same issue, and you remember back in 2015 or so, you had like female Thor and Riri Iron Man. What was interesting about that is that the reason why they kept female around for so long is because she sold toys, T-shirts, Funko Pops, and what comic book fans don't like to realize is that, like you said, comic books are not really the priority to these companies. It's the merch. That's why you get good example. When BVS came out, they had so many different Superman suit action figures, like Superman stealth suit. And I'm like, where the hell was the stealth suit in here? Because they're using the movies and the comics to market their merch. So really, when you think about it, in all justification, I have never seen any Superman and Lois merch because it's just Superman and a generic ass journalist.
exactly. They do have like a t-shirt here and there,
Mm-hmm.
but it's really kind of like very old school.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like when they tried to make merch or whatever, and it's even like Lois Lane. Like, who would want to wear a shirt with her name? Is
Yeah,
no.
just her name. I'm like, not even a picture.
Yeah, so it's very minimal. And but even with the statues, you know,
Mm-hmm.
DC, Superman and Wonder Woman honestly have the most romantic covers and imagery and everything like that. You can have a whole collection. And the fact of the Kiss statue, that
Please
was,
reissue that Kiss statue so I can get it. I don't want to give up a kidney in order to afford that damn thing.
and it's the fact that so many people like for their wedding cake topper, or it was um one guy, he was searching for the statue as well to propose to his girlfriend. That was about 2 years ago. And or a Christmas ornament or something like that. That statue spoke to so many couples. But you have where DC put out Superman and Lois, and you don't have that reaction. It's
And by
kind
the
of
way,
like,
Britt, you just gave me an idea.
of course I did. Um, but yeah, you have this where it's the same pose.
Mm-hmm.
It's of Superman
It's this.
like
It's
carrying,
this.
yeah. I mean, that isn't very dynamic at all. I don't
Mm-mm.
know, and then the fact that she is just a generic like woman, is I don't care for that.
Yeah, the reason
Um,
why Superman works with Wonder Woman from a merchandising perspective and why it's the couples merch that really does that is because Superman is the strongest male character and Superman is the most important male character. Wonder Woman is the most important female character. Suck it, Lois fans. Wonder Woman's more important than Lois Lane. Fight me. But
because
it's because it represents, like we've said on the show, for 41 episodes, true gender equality.
exactly. That is no one I don't think anyone is, unless you want to say like I want to be saved, no one is going around saying I want to be Lois Lane.
That's
Like,
saying you want your man to be more powerful than you. So,
yeah.
if anything, Clois is sexist.
Yeah, you want to be saved. You want to be like hinged, on this man. Or even if they want to turn around and have this man like um basically following around like a puppy dog or whatever, you know, that is just not appealing to me. I want equal respect. I want us to be side by side, to stand tall together, to work, together. And it's a relationship of, it's not 50-50, it's 100 and 100,
So you
both.
want the man to be the shelter from the storm?
Yeah. Very good pun.
Thank
Very
you.
good pun.
Thank you. Well, it's very true, and that's why it works, and that's like my favorite line from the book. But moving on, animation and gaming. If that damn Wonder Woman game comes out, I love how it says TBN. I'm like, yeah, it's kind of funny. We know next to nothing about that game, and it's supposed to come out soon. So,
Right. Okay, one more thing about merch.
oh
Okay,
yeah,
so with that, so Wonder Woman, she's not always on the regular Justice League
hmm
uh apparel. It's kind of like she's maybe on a couple, but it's mostly just the guys of the Justice League. It's Batman, Superman, Green Lantern, and Flash.
hmm
Even that, honestly, it's kind of a little racist because Cyborg sometimes isn't in it. You don't have John Stewart,
Well, it's
Green
because, I
Lantern.
mean, he probably would have been if this were the new 52, but typically Cyborg is not associated with the Justice
Well,
League,
that's
it's
what I'm
associated
saying
with the
is that,
Titans.
yeah, well, that's what I'm saying is that some of the printed shirts, or, most of the popular printed shirts are with the new 52 guys. So it's kind of
Oh, the
like,
new
where's Cyborg?
52 is the most popular version of the characters? Gasp!
Well, yeah, it's the new 52, and well, they have this very generic design of kind of with Rebirth, you know, and yeah, so it's, I guess it's that whatever they have with that brand. But yeah, so the Justice League, she's not always on there, and then you have on the girl side of the Justice League, or that's what they call it, is just Supergirl and Batgirl for
hmm
Wonder Woman, and it's always kind of like pink and gray or whatever. And then you have, of course, when having a pair, romantic pair, is Superman and Wonder Woman. And what was so funny is this new brand or whatever. I guess it's some type of hybrid thing with a Rebirth design, but
Hmm.
they had like Valentine shirts. And so you have Rebirth, Superman, and Wonder Woman on the shirts for Valentine's. And it's kind of like, yeah, DC's communication of marketing definitely there's a miscommunication because these two characters are not romantically linked within comics. So, but the thing is, the marketers or whatever see these two characters as appealing as a couple. So yeah, comics do not matter as much as merch does, and that happens even with the animation. That goes hand in hand. I think that's why Young Justice was canceled because it didn't move, toy sales.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. That was the stated reason that the toys weren't really selling. But I think because uh, the stated reason for the toys not selling, I believe, was that you also most of the fan base for Young Justice was female, and you don't really and typically, according to them, they don't buy toys. But still, it's like there was a lot of like back and forth on why. But yeah, it ultimately came down to toy sales.
I think that, well, superhero girls, they that did move, at least
Mhm.
the dolls. I think
By
the
the way,
dolls.
I watched the first episode of Superhero Girls recently, and it was interesting.
I I haven't watched it. I don't think I'm really interested. I guess my little sister probably will be, but
Hmm.
yeah, I don't know. It's not my cup of tea. It's a little cute designs, you know. I think Diana's characterization, she's of course the fish out of water type,
Hmm.
that
They're teaching
I
her how to be a typical teenager, and I'm like, I get it. They do also add on to. They also bring in the element that she's like immortal because she's like 300,
yeah, I think she's 17 but 1700 or something like that. They
something like
they try
that,
to
and I'm
play
like,
on the, which is
okay.
cute. I mean,
Yeah.
they're trying to play on the, the whole, like you said, immortal thing, and that's fine. Um, it, from clips that I did see, it is kind of cute, but just watching it, I don't think I can sit and watch it, no.
I did like
But
though that they gave her the Gal Gadot accent basically.
well, just having Diana with an accent, period,
Yeah.
she should.
Hmm.
Like, I get Susan Eisenberg was like for the early 2000s, she was this iconic voice for a multitude of characters, but mostly Wonder Woman. But at the same time, within, you know, modern day and even just in general, Diana should have had a more accent, a foreign, accent,
Hmm.
and having her, even her complexion being a little bit darker. She's an island girl. Have
She's
her,
basically from Greece, so I'm
yeah.
like,
So she, yeah, I understand with, at the time of, having her like, well, I really don't understand that, but whatever, with the times, she was a little bit paler, but as evolution of the character, she needs to be a little bit more accurate to, if you say that she's of have Greek roots, then show it. Show it a little bit more
at
often.
least they kind of have done that in terms of complexion when it comes to the games, at least. So at least they're trying to like because if you notice, like in a lot of the games, her complexion has gotten darker. And then in at least Suicide Squad, they gave her a little bit of an accent in that.
Right. And her eyes. Please
Mhm.
have her with gray eyes. I
Yes, please.
love the
I
fact
want
that
that.
Tomorrowverse gave her the gray eyes. Keep it that way. and
Hmm.
she has an accent, and just her design, I guess, well, the JSA movie with the golden age like hairstyle, I did not cut for, but um the hair now is okay. I don't like it that it's like straight, so I need her to have some curls. Um,
Hmm.
a, a, give it a bit more of Perez design,
Yeah, but there
or
was so much hair coming down, it might as well have been her cape.
yeah,
Some
yeah,
people
that.
go a little overboard with the hair.
Well, it's Wonder Woman. She
Yeah,
should have,
it works.
go overboard. But something like that, I would really appreciate that. I know DC isn't going to do it because first of all, they're lazy,
Hmm.
they're racist, sexist, all the isms you can think of. But my ideal Diana is that she's, have a darker complexion, she has an accent, and she has curly hair and gray eyes,
Hmm.
and very built, um, very much the statuesque, um, it's funny to see that some, and I told you, um, Beyonce's, body type,
Hmm.
or shoot, have Megan Thee Stallion, give her, she's an Amazon. She's supposed to look like that. Give her that build.
Hmm.
Be different now. Uh, and honestly, if you have Diana with that sort of depiction, I okay, so it can go two ways. She can either be more respected, or you have the possibility of fanboys, being fanboys in a negative sense.
Yeah, the minute you start doing that, let me put it to you this way, Britt. What you just said makes sense. It's an interesting idea, and I would support it. But a lot of fanboys are gonna be like, "That's not Wonder Woman's. That's not the way Wonder Woman's supposed to look."
Yeah, you're gonna have either that's not how she's supposed to look, or they will sexualize her, and she's already sexualized. Diana does, she is comfortable with her sexuality and being this, you know, um, very liberated character. That is what she's supposed to represent. But at the same time, again, fanboys will go overboard. I know
Hmm.
that when I was on the Instagram, and someone is one of the images that are pinned. I think it's the first image, and she it's the Christmas or whatever, and she has on a sweater just in with like star bottoms or whatever. And someone was like, "You're sexualizing her or something." I'm like, first of all, she has on a leotard all the time. So
She has
how is
on
that?
what amounts to a bikini. What are you talking
Yeah.
about?
So what are you
Sexualized.
talking about? And second, and the fact that I had to explain who Wonder Woman is and what she represents.
Remember, Britt, these are the same people that praised that Lois and Clark cover when DC announced like all those little Christmas themed one, all those Winter Wonderlands ones, where Clark is like shirtless and Lois is in a sweater and underwear, and they're like romantically involved. So I'm like, hypocritical
Honestly, that
much?
honestly that image, first, again, you can't really know who that is, and uh, honestly, yeah, it doesn't really give that romantic type. It's very stiff. It's
The
not
other thing was kind of
natural.
funny is that I was flipping through Superman for Tomorrow yesterday, and yeah, you see Wonder Woman. She looks good. Jim Lee draws a damn good Wonder Woman, and she's colored great. Then when you get to the scene of like Lois draped in the cape, every time I look at that image, I just think of how easy it is to turn that into Wonder Woman just by drawing the gauntlets on her arms. That's all you got to do.
The thing is, everyone and their mama basically think that for tomorrow, that scene is Diana. Like, and it's also, I think
And
Lois
that's
is
another
wearing
idea. But by the way, I'll talk to you after this.
a um she has on like this Grecian-esque white and
Hmm.
gold dress,
Yeah,
and it's kind of like, mm, why is she drawn like Diana? Why is she wearing a Grecian dress?
because
It's
DC
just
is secretly telling us Clark belongs with Diana. That's my
uh,
conspiracy theory. That a lot of these writers and artists want Superman to be with Wonder Woman, but they know that they may not be able to push it now, so they're just putting in little hints.
well, that was very much true, I think, with Conrad with Wonder Woman,
Hmm.
the Wonder Woman run, because honestly, I think that, and I don't think that it's a mandate anymore. Um, like during Rebirth, and especially with the trying to match DCEU when they thought that Superman was going to marry Lois and the baby and all that kind of stuff. Um,
Hmm.
I guess with the initial Rebirth teams, it was a mandate of, basically Superman and Wonder Woman are no more.
Hmm.
And whether it's a couple and as friends is just kaput.
Hmm.
Um, but now we slowly see that it is kind of coming back in a way, but not really. It's, you know, very bits, or it's kind of like a blink and you'll miss it type thing. And
It's like even in that issue of Tom King, where it's in her head. She and Steve are sitting on the steps of the Hall of Justice. Superman flies by, and Wonder Woman just waves at him, which
honestly,
had more emotion than the entire damn book.
that is true. Honestly, that was so random because okay, first with Conrad, it was it was how showing Diana, she Clark was saying that he will always be there to talk with her if she need help. And then you had them meeting in space for the Trinity, Kal-El returns, that special issue. And the hints throughout that, it really it was a Trinity issue, which I think that because DC doesn't want Clark and Diana to be like it's just them, they are trying to force the Trinity as a thing because it wasn't fair that Batman and Superman are able to have their bromance or whatever.
Hmm.
But and of course Bruce and Diana, they don't have a relationship at all. But Clark and Diana are supposed to be at least best friends. If you want to play it platonic, whatever, you know. But how they are playing this in a platonic sense is very much like they aren't even acquaintances. They are very much strangers. And you really don't feel that emotion that they had in post crisis when they were, best friends with borderline benefits or whatever.
Hmm.
And with the way Conrad did it, Wonder Woman 800 really gave us back that sense of post crisis, that ambiguity of their relationship of okay, these two supposed to be best friends, but they're very much too touchy feely.
Hmm.
And it's kind of like, yes, that is how they are supposed to be. They can, to where whether it's the public, whether it's other heroes or civilian, whoever, they are supposed to question, are these two a couple? And it's kind of like, maybe, you know, and that's the fun of it. And then you have Tom King, which, no. Issue 7 was, it had its moments, but at the same, overall, it was very disappointing because Tom King claimed he would do a deep dive of their friendship. And of course, he emphasized the friendship part.
Which, yeah, that's fine. But you know what's kind of funny? We do more of a deep dive into their friendship every week than he does.
Exactly. And you had 40 pages.
Hmm.
You didn't have, and the thing is, it was promoted within DC's Connect book as like this special issue. And
What they
you
could
had,
have done, Britt, here's how he could have done the deep dive. You ready? You know how, like, they're doing the deep dive inside of Diana's mind of, like, her with Steve? They could have done that with Clark.
that if you're doing this whole everything is canon and everything, like the whole history of, different eras, you could have just showed Clark and Diana their like friendship or whatever, even if you didn't want to show them as a couple and just wanted to strictly have it as friends, at least within the eras, over time, show how their relationship has progressed. But he
Mhm.
didn't even do that. He barely even scuffed a surface. And
What he kind of does is that, you know how, like, you go around places and, like, you use your finger to check for dust. That's how much of a
yeah,
deep dive Tom King did.
exactly.
He just ran his finger across the surface. That's it, and that's the deep dive. That ain't a deep dive, brother. That definitely is not a deep dive.
Right.
But so, and the thing is like, it's not like there's not a lot of history. I mean, hell, we did an entire history on the history of these. We did an entire episode on that. But the thing that I didn't know about this, Britt, is that I didn't know. It makes sense for Warner Brothers, but I didn't know there was a Wonder Woman embargo to the point where that's why Barda is the Wonder Woman of the Beyond Justice League.
Yeah, the honestly, I didn't know either until I would say, well, when the Justice League War, when that movie came out and really starting to get in the animated side of um DC, because
Mm-hmm.
even with the Justice League show, I just really wasn't interested in it. Like not like that.
Mm-mm.
So and then just with my time of going back and forth between understanding, you know, Clark and Diana's relationship and the characters individually, if I was interested in seeing, some of the episodes of cartoons back in the day, um, you know, that is my only way. So there was a question of why isn't there a Wonder Woman um, animated show? And yeah, I heard it, saw it on Twitter a couple of times,
I'm like, do you really
uh,
want Bruce Timm, the guy that thought Batman and Batgirl was a good thing, to handle Wonder Woman? At a certain point, Britt, the more I cover this, the more I realize I don't want these things. But you know what's kind of funny? Somehow, John Byrne has somehow made Bruce Timm look more preferable.
I mean,
Because at
yeah,
least Barbara was of age in the Killing Joke. But with this, there's no defending what Byrne had Superman do. But again, we get a lot off a topic here. I just wanted to throw it in there. But it is kind of interesting how a lot of times DC treats Barda as if she is a Wonder Woman stand-in, which kind of is, but yeah.
th- and that that is even apparent when they try to make Diana like 7 feet tall.
Oh
You
yeah.
know,
You know what's kind of funny? When I see that in the Tom King book, you know what's really funny? I'm like, Wonder Woman must have grown a bunch of inches in the time between the last Wonder Woman, between the Clune run and this one, because I don't remember seeing an image of Wonder Woman being that tall.
she wasn't. And okay, so to me, Diana can be 6'2",
Mm-hmm.
you know, because again, as an Amazon, you are supposed to be statuesque, curvy, tall, that it is what it is. But in a sense, it feels like Tom King is trying to, because he doesn't want to write her, he's trying to like write her within a character that he mostly prefers, which I feel like it is Big Barda.
Yeah, because the thing is like I think Tom King told a buddy of mine that he wishes DC would let him write the characters he wants to write, and I'm like, hey, dude, because like this way, I read Master Miracle, I enjoyed it. That's how I know he's capable of writing good stuff because he has written stuff. And this is what I said in my Wonder Woman video. It's not that I hate Tom King because he's written stuff that I genuinely enjoy. It's just when he writes this one character for some reason, and to a certain degree, Batman, but let me put it this way, his Batman is more consistent to Batman than his Wonder Woman is to Wonder Woman. So that's why I excuse his Batman one. I'm like, yeah, the suicide stupid, but the rest of it is like, okay, it's closer to Bruce's character. In other words, the way he writes like characters being emotionless automatons. You can't apply the same rules of Batman to Wonder Woman.
Exactly. I mean, even honestly, the little scene in Heroes in Crisis when Clark is trying to give the speech and Diana just simply puts her hand on his shoulder and it's like giving him that silent comfort. That honestly, and really, honestly, it was more of a visual thing from Clayman, but that honestly had more emotion than him writing Diana and also issue
Another
7,
idea.
of course.
But
And
you bring up a great point, Britt, because even when I talked to David Finch at like the first Comic-Con I ever went to, I asked him the question of Wonder Bat versus Super Wonder, and he said Super Wonder. It seems to me, at least, that most artists, except for like Liam Sharp or Phil Jimenez, all respect to those two guys because they've drawn some of my favorite images, but I'm just saying that they're like one of the exceptions in my experience. Most artists seem to prefer Clark with Diana.
because their relationship, like I said, it's a visual thing. It's very much visually appealing. So you want to, you know, with colors and everything and poses, they can stand out so much more. You know, from look look at the selfie image from Tony Daniel. Um Jack Herbert. Jack Herbert can emulate Alex Ross. And he's done commissions. And there was one image that was so beautiful of Clark and Diana. Well, it's a multitude of images actually from him. Clark and Diana, and Clark has the beard. This is the time with New 52 when New 52 Clark had the beard. So
My favorite
now,
image.
so not only of him drawing issue 12 of Superman and Wonder Woman, you know, when they are at the Wembley Stadium and they, hug and kiss, reunite or whatever, but also with the commission, they are having a picnic. And it's just that simple of these two powerful, beings having a picnic together. And or he drew a Kingdom Come version of Clark and Diana, and Diana is pregnant. They're in bed, and he, drew that. Or, just little sketches here and there of them, being this very joyful young couple. And even DC brand, actually, there's a brand that they have of the selfie image, and it's called Lovebirds. So, it's just this whole visual appeal to Superman and Wonder Woman together. And that is on the artist. But with the writers, like I said, you have to really think of dialogue, of the monologues, of the feelings, and really get in touch with the character and what they will actually say. And we do this all the time with us going back and forth of um, how we're going about writing them with the most dramatic scenes, with their doubts of, their relationship, or, just anything like that, of the tragedy Diana's going through, or, you know, future stories with Clark having a tragedy or something like that. And you have to put yourself in that sort of situation as a writer. And even, but the thing is, even if you haven't even experienced a certain scenario, it's all in the mind of creativity that you
Mhm.
can still put yourself in that scenario regardless, or you do your research. And to me,
Yeah,
modern
you actually have
writers,
to read, and that's for you, Tomasi, who clearly didn't read that Clark knew that Diana was the god of war.
right? And honestly, and you just brought up a good point, that these modern writers do not like to read other material. They do not take heed to anything established. And well, that's been a thing, but it's even more so apparent now. But they also just are so lazy and want these characters to be in a comfort for them. Just like what Tom King is doing with Wonder Woman, he's trying to force her into his own comfort for his writing. It's not so much as the benefit of her character. And that is why her character feels so out of place and so out of character.
Hmm.
And, just, and even JLU, you know, that is how they felt with Wonder Woman, because they made the excuse that her history, and she has so many iterations or whatever, they couldn't pinpoint what iteration they wanted um, that certain version of Diana to be. And it's kind of like, okay, there's been so many iterations of Superman as well, and Batman and Flash. So to say that, it's really just they weren't interested in Wonder Woman. And honestly, Bruce Timm and whoever else
Do
as a
you really
producer,
want them handling Wonder Woman? Let me put it this way: if they're handling of her in Justice League is any indicator, I don't want them touching Diana.
right? So, what they thought was turning her into a pig, having her, have this
Beat up a
one-sided,
guy and like throw him around saying, "I just wanted a day off," and I'm like, "That's
yeah,
not Diana." The way I always talk about it is that when they went from Superman the animated, when they went to Justice League, they forgot they're writing characters other than Batman. That's what it is.
yeah. They, I mean, Batman was, because Batman the series, it was the most popular, animation that they had
Yeah. Hmm.
at that time. So with everyone else, I mean, even Hawk Girl, she was a better female character than Diana,
Hmm.
really, because JLU Diana, she was very much a hothead. She wasn't a girl's girl at all.
Hmm.
Um, the whole thing of her stealing, her uniform and the lasso, and
Hmm.
how being banned um, from Themyscira, you know, then the one-sided crush for Batman trying to desperate for a date, just all of that. It they were trying to again make her into what they felt comfortable, or what they thought was interesting, instead of embracing her as what you saw in comics. And especially, I mean, Perez gave you basically a Bible, so to speak, of how to write Wonder Woman,
Well, not
for
only
the modern
that,
era.
they had a Wonder Woman writer on staff. Gail Simone was a writer of this of Justice League.
Well, I would say that Gail, I, mm,
No, but I understand her run is hit and miss. I'm just saying they had an experienced Wonder Woman writer on staff, and they couldn't figure this out. I'm sorry, there's no excuse for that. But
true.
anyway, continuing
Even,
on. Yeah, go ahead.
even Kevin Conroy, he
Mhm.
said that Wonder Woman is one-dimensional and Harley Quinn is a better character, a better female character.
Oh
And
God.
for you to say that, I mean, yeah, the disrespect for Wonder Woman is so we see it as fans, but eternally, I don't think we want to actually know the depth.
No,
Bec-
we don't. Continuing on, then we get to live action movies, and there's a lot of stuff in here that I didn't know. So that tells you how like extensive they've been trying to like make a Wonder Woman movie. So we'll start and talk about all right, so live action. So I knew about the first movie about like the TV movie, and I know briefly about the Adriana Palicki series, which I've heard was so horrible. And I didn't know that she was supposed to make a cameo in an old 98 Superman script, but elaborate.
okay. So, oh, one more thing about the animation. So,
Yeah, yeah.
to wrap up animation, there was supposed to be a Wonder Woman solo show, Mattel.
Hmm.
Um, and as we talk about with merchandise and stuff,
Yeah,
it was supposed
right
to
here.
be with the dolls, and so they
Hmm.
wanted like I, it was a TV show or a movie um adapting this, and it is a one shot. I don't think that you can find it so easily. I read up on it and it's supposed to be like very expensive or whatever. But yeah, so trying to get Wonder Woman and animated solo, it's kind of like it's in development hell. And
Hmm.
then again with the embargo, it's basically like she needs to be the star in
Uh-huh.
order for her to be, within the animated show or whatever like that. And honestly, at first when hearing that, it kind of sounded, you know,
Hmm.
but now to see, yes, this is the right thing to do because Wonder Woman just shouldn't be in the background.
Hmm.
So, if this was necessary because whoever put this in place, yes, it is necessary because as Wonder Woman, as we've seen in animation and in video games, even with Injustice, how she's a total different character, very unlikable, evil, or and the generations um within that time has this perception of Wonder Woman, and it is terrible, to think that she's just this demigoddess, you know, um,
Hmm.
that's a snake in Superman's ear, that, this evil woman. It's awful. But then at the same time, the creator of Mortal Kombat, he has a problem with even the Mortal Kombat female characters like Sindel and Katana and stuff like that.
Hmm.
So it's really no different. But at the same time, you would think that Wonder Woman will have a little bit more respect of knowing who she is.
You would think so, but as we've seen so far, she doesn't.
Right.
So,
So
by the way, so Britt, so what you're telling me is that Wonder Woman demands the pedestal?
exactly, she does. And
Hmm.
of course, the men do not want that. So
Hmm.
going to the live action, that's even worse.
Hmm.
So we have Cathy, her it was in 1974. It was a made for uh TV film, and it's like it was pretty much just a random character, and you named her Wonder Woman.
Mm-hmm.
So to have her just change her whole image, that was already DOA.
Mm-hmm.
You pretty much should have known
Yeah.
that. Um, and then after a year, they set up the Linda Carter show.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Linda, she looked like Diana, acted like, how Diana should be, and she resonated. And, even present day, she is the Wonder Woman of live action still.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have in 2011, they wanted um a show, but that was squashed. And you can see the pilot of it
Mm-hmm.
is on YouTube, I think.
It's
And
it's on YouTube and other sources. It is horrible. Case in point, there was a scene where Wonder Woman is where like they're trying to sneak into a facility. So Wonder Woman's friend asked her, "How are we gonna get in there?" And Wonder Woman just points to her boobs.
really, I think,
Yeah,
well, if this is CW, I mean,
she said, "These open doors."
wow, that, see, again, they have no respect for her. I didn't
I
see that.
know.
I know I saw a part where she was like crying over Steve or something. She was like reminiscing, and like she was at home watching a movie, eating popcorn or something. And I'm kind of like, please stop doing that. Stop having Diana have this obsession over Steve like she's a Disney princess. Like, as the first man she meets, and this is why I love the Perez, reboot, because he did not have Diana like this. And after Marston died, when Kanger took over, he is the one basically that revamped Wonder Woman to that she was chasing after Steve,
Mm-hmm.
and was this obsession of, and that's even more so why Steve not only became boring, but he became a sexist jerk. And,
Mm-hmm.
really being a manipulative, guilt tripping Diana, making her feel bad, wanting her, and again, for Tom King or anyone that cares for traditional relationships, it's kind of like, if you want to talk about the history of these characters and their relationships, talk about everything that goes within it, which is 50, like the first 50 years or so are very bad for the relationship. And
Mm-hmm.
for Superman and Lois, it's very toxic, very manipulative, gaslighting, everything like that. And the thing is, especially for the Donner films, they like glorify and romanticize the gaslighting, but it's a reason why the first two movies are the only movies that are pretty much mentioned, because Christopher Reeves and Keeter, they did not like each other,
Mm-hmm.
and after a while, so, and Christopher, he, and it is an interview of both of them basically kind of, being antagonistic towards each other. And he said that Lois as a character and Peter, she feels like a big sister. So it
Mm-hmm.
kind of was that romance, whatever, was awkward, and they basically wanted to let it go. So it's kind of like, yeah, you know, for you to make it seem like Superman and Lois is this all time, you know, end all be all couple, tell the truth of how um Chris and Keter didn't like each other, and they changed the relationship to be more like, you know, a older sister, younger brother type feel.
And they'll never accept that because people, for some reason, have a lot of revisionism toward the Reeves films, including the fact that Christopher Reeve's Superman killed Zod.
Yeah, things like that, of course, they want to ignore to get their, you know, biased or whatever out there. Then you have within the comics, you know, just that whole gaslighting thing with the shenanigans of Lois in her book. Then with her hating Clark, but she, you know, was infatuated with Superman. She wanted the story. You know, Superman was a story for her. She wanted the accolades. She was basically, in a sense, a gold digger. She she was. And so, you know, that's that. And then you go with Wonder Woman with Steve. It was the same way of him, you know, Diana Prince did not care for, or Wonder Woman supposedly being Wonder Wife, you know, she put him first. And the thing is, that was written with the rebirth of why they broke up. Like Steve was being whiny and wanting her to put him first before anyone else or before her mission. Then Perez came in and made him into an old man. Oh, no. First, it was before that. Steve always dying, Diana sulking, you know, and all of that. Then Perez turned him into an old man, had him marry Etta, which is a much better relationship. And then Steve was like an older brother. And like I said, on multiple occasions, he called Diana his little sister. So, and that lasted for 20, almost close to 30 years. So, yeah, so majority of the history is not so sunshine and rainbows as some writers want to make it seem like. It's not some true love story at all.
No, it's not. And more on that at the end of the episode. So then we get my favorite iteration of Wonder Woman, Gal Gadot. And this was one that they had to sell me on because obviously, so at the time, the only thing I remember seeing Gal in was like Fast and the Furious. So when they cast her as Wonder Woman, I'm like, really? You cast the Fast and the Furious girl as Wonder Woman? Admittedly, I wasn't like sold. Then I actually watched BVS. The two scenes that sold me on her was number one, when she turns and goes, "I don't think you've ever known a woman like me," and she just smiles. And then when she gets knocked back by Doomsday, she looks back at him and she just smiles. And apparently that was improv because Gal thought that like Diana would be like enjoying herself in a fight, and she wanted her to be more feisty. And I'm like, yep, that's Diana. So at that point, I was sold. Then obviously her first movie comes out, and I'm like, yeah, this is freaking awesome. Then Justice League comes out. And then Zack Snyder's Justice League comes out, and I'm like, yay! And then 1984 comes out, and I'm like,
A roller coaster of emotions.
It's very much a roller coaster of emotions.
So with Wonder Woman, for at least a movie, it's been since I think 1993, and they wanted stars like Sandra Bullock, Angelina Jolie.
Yeah, it's only because here's the thing about Zach. That's why whenever I'm encountering people that hate his movies and hate Zack Snyder's influence on DC, I always say, so you like all the actors in the roles, right? And they always say yes. And I'm like, you wouldn't have, like, let me put it this way. If it were not for Zack Snyder, Momoa would not have been cast as Aquaman. They would have cast the generic blonde-haired white guy. They wouldn't have cast at the time, relative nobody like Gadot as Wonder Woman. But Zack had enough pull that he was like, no, these people can play these roles if you give them the shot.
Yeah, again, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, even Superman.
Yeah,
It,
because Henry
honestly,
was
it's
a relatively unknown at the time.
honestly except for Batman, and you
Hmm.
know, they can be played by diverse actors.
Hmm.
Like, you know, so for people to have a issue with that, just in general, it's kind of like, no, shut up. You're
Well, the
behind
thing
a computer
is,
screen.
well, the thing is like if they're portraying Clark Kent as Superman, it's nice if they actually have a white guy portraying Clark Kent because then it just comes off as pandering in the Superman example, like when they said, "Oh, we're doing a black Superman movie," but it's neither Calvin Ellis nor Val Zod, the versions that everyone knows and likes, mind you, because it's more likely that that version gets rejected if you just say haphazardly, we're just going to throw out like Val Zod and Calvin Ellis in order to like use the name Clark Kent.
Well, here's the thing. With Superman, you know, being powered by the sun, being an alien,
Mm-hmm.
you know, he can be a of a different ethnicity, race, or whatnot. He doesn't necessarily have to be Clark Kent doesn't have to be a white guy. And the
Mm-hmm.
thing about that, and especially with modern day, is because the reason why it's okay for him to be a white guy is because of the idea of passing,
Mm-hmm.
and also how, which wouldn't, but would be a very harder way of writing the Kents also, with
Mm-hmm.
having this child that, came from the sky. How are you supposed to explain that? That, they adopted, or that Martha may have had at some point, kept it secret or something like that. But also, it is just a lot of, I guess, questions that,
Mm-hmm.
again, it takes a writer to really make it work.
Mm-hmm.
And there is one book, I think it's Clark and Lex. It's a scholastic book, and the
Mm-hmm.
Kents are black.
Okay. I mean, yeah, you
But
could do that, but is the here's what I always say. It's different rules when it comes to like live action movie adaptations, and yeah, I 100% am in league with what you're saying, Bray. It's just yeah, it can work in the general lore and stuff. I'm just saying in terms of the general public perception of Superman, there is a certain
oh yeah,
like way they have to abide by that.
oh yeah. I mean, even if you had Calvin or Val, the it depends. But for Superman and the way Superman fans are, and we've dealt with that,
Oh hell yeah! But I will
they
say though, when it comes to Snyder, this was the first time they've ever had a Middle Eastern actress play Wonder Woman, and you know what? It worked because yeah, she has the exotic look of Diana, and she has the accent, so all of that works. The only thing that's missing is the gray eyes.
the great eye, yeah. And so you have this perception of these characters. And you know what? The best example of this is Starfire from Titans
Mm-hmm.
with Anna. And it's still this debate even within the comics, comic book Twitter or whatever. Is Starfire, first of all, her skin within the comics is orange.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like, why are you even having an argument when
Well,
her, you know,
here's the
and
thing:
then
the show did a clever thing where when she uses her powers and unleashes her like blast, then the skin turns orange. So I was when
right,
I saw that, I was like, yeah. At that point, I'm fine because at least you're respecting that that the look of the character in some way in that. My
Right.
only problem with the Titan Starfire is that she didn't have like a costume or a really good look until like season 2.
Right. That was my issue too, because it's kind of like, first of all, her wig is kind of like, if you're gonna have her with the purple, like fiery type hair, or the the behind the scenes makeup artists or whatever, you needed someone to actually dress her as, Starfire. And within the comic, Starfire has this sort of um it's sort of a debate still, I guess. So I'm not really sure. And but she has like black features, you know,
Yeah,
and
and that's why, because I'm of the opinion that as long as you can play the role, as long as you can convince me that you're the character, I could care less about skin color, ethnicity, or whatever. And
mhm,
she did, so that's why I was like, that's why I personally did not have a problem with it, because I'm like, okay, fine. And then when I saw that they at least, again, they respected that Starfire is like an alien enough that they were like, no, when she uses her powers, that's when the skin turns orange. So I'm like, okay, I can compromise there.
right. So with Starfire though, it's still the fact of just that, like you said, the initial like look of her, they
Hmm.
didn't give her a costume. She looked a little rough until like they really, I guess, wanted to feel comfortable, and that is when they made her a little bit more fashionable and gave her a little bit more of Starfire that you would see within at least the 80s comics.
At
So,
least, yeah.
so that, like you said, it doesn't matter the ethnicity. These are fictional characters.
Yeah, yeah. It's like
They
at
can
that
be
point, yeah. Go ahead.
they can be any ethnicity, any race. Like you said, as
Hmm.
long as you can play the role of the character, that's all that really should matter. And as long as you
Hmm.
represent the character as they should be represented, that's all that should matter. I honestly want Diana to be exotic. I've already explained how I want her.
Hmm.
Will DC do it? I probably not.
I mean,
But
they got close with Gal, so I'm saying it's not necessarily out of the realm of possibility. Now, here's the problem with the Gunverse going so clearly backwards in terms of representation of these characters. I could see them casting a generic white actress as Wonder Woman.
that is my problem. I do not want I'm sorry, I don't want a pale Wonder Woman. Like, that is not her. No,
Yeah,
do not do that.
she comes from an island located relatively in Greece. I always say Greece because it's like she's like obviously Greek culture inspired, but it's in that general area. Come
Yeah,
on,
just,
guys.
and I mean, okay, so even with the Supergirl situation, Sasha, she, being in the Flash film, she really couldn't show herself as Supergirl.
But
And
here's the
she's
thing, though.
still,
With that look, that's still a look from the comics. That's why I was like, okay, fine.
yeah. So I'm like, why couldn't you keep her? Because she's still relatively young. So
And she
why
was
couldn't
the
you?
part of that movie that a lot of people enjoyed.
Right. So, but instead, Gunn wants the total basic comic accuracy,
And it's
of
not like you couldn't give Kaye a wig, a blonde wig. You couldn't just do that. But I will say
honestly, I
though,
think she's actually uh bleached her hair before for
well, you
for
could
a
have done
role.
that too. But I will say the cool part about the Flash, about her portrayal of Supergirl, I love the line. I thought of you, Britt, when this happened. When she goes, "Krypton is not this brutal place. Krypton is a very lovely place," and I'm like, "Yep, there you go. That's it. Respect it."
Yeah,
What does it say that Krypton got the most respect in a freaking Flash movie and Man of Steel?
because how comics and just animation and live action movies or shows, um, just in general now for the Superman lore, they're very disrespectful to Krypton because,
Mm-hmm.
uh, with how Byrne, his whole, if you
He's
can,
not exactly the right not the
right,
right source on Superman of recently.
right, if you dare, try to celebrate being an immigrant, you are basically, I don't know,
Well, he
I
called them
think he said you're
ungrateful.
selfish. Yeah, you're
He called them
ungrateful.
ungrateful, and I'm like, yeah, you could still be grateful to America for welcoming you with open arms, but also still want to preserve some element of your culture. That's what the melting pot is, bro.
But at the same time, people like him, at that time, he used his all star as an artist, as, you know, um, A-lister at Marvel, and they wanted to revamp Superman when Superman did need a revamp a little bit, but to just do a whole 360 to change the character of um not caring for his heritage when the purpose of the character is to care. And,
He's wearing a suit that's covered in the logo is a Kryptonian glyph.
yeah, so it with all of that and changing and stripping the character of his complexity and everything like that, that is why the character is in such a struggle today.
Mm-hmm.
But and then with Wonder Woman, you know, people like him, or just honestly, if they can't get Superman right, when so many claim that he's the first superhero, he's the the father, the first 1938, blah blah blah, we can't expect them to get Wonder Woman right.
Mm-hmm.
And especially because, again, she is a woman, that right there.
Yeah.
um
So real quick, so the other here in the notes is that the Wonder Woman 3 thing, I guarantee you eventually we'll get a sequel. The same reason why I'm sure that conclusion to the Snyderverse trilogy, I'm fairly certain that they will be forced to at least do a Wonder Woman 3 because now you have the actors coming out and saying, what the hell, guys? You had Chris Pine saying, why wouldn't you do a Wonder Woman 3? It was still a popular franchise. You got Patty coming out and like blasting it. So I'm like, eventually, I feel like they will go in that direction a little bit. So it's like, it's more likely a lot of this stuff will return. It's just a matter of when. So moving on, this one. So with this next one, you brought up He Who Must Not Be Named. So I had to do a
I'm
little
sorry.
something here. So I put a big ass red X over his face. So there you go. But so I read part of his script for Wonder Woman, and I nearly gagged. Not exaggerating, because it was some of it could only be written by this guy.
I mean, the thing is, it was like 1984,
Mm-hmm.
but worse.
Way worse, way worse.
And I mean, as a whole, the thing is with WB and how to handle these characters were, especially again, Wonder Woman, was very sexist. It was very much like she is supposed to be like this symbol, this lampshade, this sexy lampshade or whatever. And they did sort of do that in DCEU,
Mm-hmm.
because the first Wonder Woman movie, yes, Diana was a fish out of water, but at the same time, she didn't know Steve for like what, a
That's my
week?
one complaint with that movie. It was like a day. It was like a couple of days or so that whole movie takes place in.
Right. So you have her like obsessed with this dude that she's only known for a week. And he is the one that make the heroic sacrifice and everything like that. And then for 60 something plus years to 1984, she's still obsessed and she's alone. And the one time that she has a wish of, she doesn't wish for world peace, she doesn't wish to go back home, nothing like that. She wishes for a man. And then what happens in
He takes the
in wishing,
body of a possibly LGBT man.
and the fact that she loses her powers, it's kind of like, the message of that is that putting a man first, you basically repress your own self. You lose
So it's
yourself
kind of
as a woman.
like the entire refutation. It says a lot when Wonder Woman 1984 is a better portrayal of Diana than Tom King's Wonder Woman.
Shoot, honestly, both of them.
No, but Britt, be honest. Which one do you prefer? Because at least Wonder Woman's happy and relatively happy in 1984.
You put me in a bad position.
At least she's more emotional in 1984.
Yeah, I mean, okay, if we're going by personality a little bit, I would say 84 wins by a notch.
A
But
notch, that's fine. I'm not saying it like blows it out of the water, but I'm saying of the two, which one do you really prefer?
84.
Yeah, thank
But
you. Thank you. I
I
figured
mean,
I'd wear you down eventually.
that's very much a rock and a hard place type thing. And it just kind of like,
That's a you're stuck between two evils. Which one do you pick type of thing?
that is very much that. I mean, that is the bear versus the man meme, all of the above type thing. I cannot do that. Don't do that to me again.
I got a couple more
But
ideas as we were going through this. Just want to let you know
of
that.
course you have. I mean, this whole episode has given you ideas. Um, but yeah, so with this script, it was basically about Steve, making him the main protagonist, and Diana very much in the supporting role in a sense. And she's obsessed with Steve, he's this whatever. Of course, Whedon wants to sexualize her and everything like that. Yeah, so it's a very creepy script movie, and I'm glad reading it, I skimmed through it or whatever, and what I saw, I never want to see again. Want to bleach my eyes,
Yes, please. That
you
was
know.
me. That was me. I was like, Mom,
Um,
where's the bleach?
you know,
Continuing
uh,
on. Then we have this, which I didn't know this existed.
yes. So this script, um, I guess it was just a script, but Snyder, he used just the broad strokes of it, um, for the Justice League trilogy. And what was bad about this movie was that really it was just going based off of the popularity of Batman, and
Yeah.
basically like,
As soon as I saw Batman and Wonder Woman have a kid, I'm like, oh God.
and the kid's name is Clark, and
So that's where Zach got it from. Oh my gosh.
yeah, and Wonder Woman's role basically is to glorify Batman. Like, that's,
Mm.
she's a sexy lampshade. She is to basically be a Batman cheerleader. I think she is talking to Aphrodite, and she says how Batman is like this god or whatever. She basically, Bat God is a thing in this movie, and she's obsessed with him, you know, and yeah, that's pretty much her whole thing.
Mhm. And by the way,
And
I'm gonna have to on my 17th watch through of the Snyder cut, I'm gonna have to pay attention to the credits, because I never noticed that the writer of this got credited in the Snyder cut as a writer.
yeah, because basically the main points of the dark side, Superman possessed, um, Batman basically kind of being the, you know, in a sense, the ultimate hero. Um, if Batman and Lois were to have a baby,
Mhm.
um, you know, that whole thing. Uh, Pretty much the only difference is, of course, you didn't have Hawkman.
Mhm.
Um,
That would have been cool though. Of all the characters that Zack Snyder could do really well, of all the characters to leave out, because I think Zack Snyder could do a pretty badass Hawkman.
yeah, Hawkman probably would have been good within this story. Uh, but yeah, I'm glad that this script was basically like changed drastically in a sense
Well,
because,
yeah, because Zack has said that Wonder Bat doesn't work, so I'm like, ha ha.
but also just the fact of thinking that Wonder Woman is just a cheerleader for the main guy. And that another thing, um, with Superman and Wonder Woman, it's always to say that Diana takes a backseat or that she becomes his supporting character. No, she doesn't. With Superman and Wonder Woman, Volume One, Soul, he really showed Diana as the main character. We were able to have her inner thoughts. She had a monologue. It really centered pretty much around her feelings. Showed her being, the more mature of the relation person within the relationship. Um, and I mean, if she took a back seat, it would have been Clark KOing Zod and Fiora and
Mhm.
trying to save Diana. But no, it was Diana. Not only was she speaking in Kryptonese, she KO'd Zod and Fiora, and then, she,
She burned half of Feora's face.
right. So to have that, I mean, I really can't see how you can say that she took uh took a back seat. Even
Mhm.
within the Tomorrowverse, Diana, she was the leader of the JSA.
Mhm.
It says it even in the character uh description sheet. She's the leader. Clark is not a leader at all. Her,
Mhm.
I don't know. Well, of course, because everything is done off screen, we can't really know all the details. I don't know if he did become a leader, like a co-lead, but it seemed like he's just a member of the JSA.
Mhm.
Um, Diana calling him my love, my Clark, she was while he's out, he barely had a role really within the crisis. It's really just been Diana.
Up
She's
until part
she
two, I think part two they kind of gave him more to do.
well, well, Earth One Clark, he's kind of like a support for Kara.
Well,
And
he's
then,
Superboy, and we all know that.
right. But then Earth 2 Clark, he really was in the background. Or you barely see him. He's like stuck on Earth 18 or whatever.
Mhm.
So, that's that. Um, but I think Crisis Part 3, the voice actors, it seemed like there will be a flashback with Diana because it says young Diana and Hippolyta is back. So, yeah, so if there's more of Diana's story within part 3. So you can't say that she, is taking a back seat or she's being in
No,
support.
if anything, she's taking the front seat in this one. But
And she, and
yeah, go
honestly,
ahead.
within their relationship, she is always in the front seat or as the relationship is supposed to be of equals.
So
But
you're saying
this,
she demands the pedestal? I'm gonna keep bringing
right,
that up.
yeah, as you should. But yeah, with this script,
Oh, okay.
um, Oh yeah, with this script though, for her to be reduced, you know, to just like a Batman worshiper. And it honestly, again, it goes with the fact that the Nolan verse that was successful, the whole Batmania, whatever. So every character, I'm guessing, is supposed to bow down to Batman. And for you
All
to have
hail Bat God! All hail Bat God!
and for you to have the main female character that is supposed to be of female empowerment, but you reduce her to obsessing over men. It's kind of like, yeah, you really don't care and you really don't know this character of who she's supposed to represent. And this is why she has such a problem.
Hmm. Yeah. So continuing on, then we have more like this thing is not moving. All right, then we have more information on like past depictions of Wonder Woman. Ironically, they wanted Xena the Warrior Princess to play Wonder Woman, which, let's be honest, you can't tell me they weren't inspired by Wonder Woman when they were creating Xena the Warrior Princess.
Of course. And the fact that Lucy, she also voiced Diana for New Frontier, it pretty much makes sense, you know.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. And that's the way I kind of take it. In fact, it was kind of funny. I started playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which is basically ancient Greece, and I unlocked the Wonder Woman armor, I've told you. And I did when I did the stream about it, because I'm gonna alternate the streams between Batman and that. I'm calling it I'm playing a Wonder Woman game, because it's pretty much that.
And you did show me the designs. And if the Wonder Woman game is like that, then I will definitely be getting the game.
Yeah, so far, what we know about the game looks great. Open world, Nemesis system. It's being made by the same people that made Lord of the Rings War for Mordor or something like that. But it's so far it looks good. I just need more information because I know next to nothing about that. Hell, by this point, we knew a lot about Suicide Squad.
Honestly, I just hope that because of Gunn's plans for everything to basically be like streamlined,
They could be
that it's
canceling it.
yeah, that it's not stealth cancel. That is the thing that again you are ruining, any type of I you know, promotion or whatever that Wonder Woman or exposure that Wonder Woman is to get because that is really what Wonder Woman needs. And she
Mhm.
is one of, if not the main character that should have a video game. I mean, you have God of War. You have
Yeah, and hell, Superman got a game in Superman Returns. That still counts, and we all know how many games Batman has gotten.
right, if you can have a Batman game, you can have a Wonder Woman game
Hmm.
because like I said, God of War, even Ninja Gaiden, Prince of Persia, um Assassin's
Assassin's
Creed.
Creed Odyssey. There you go. All of those
Yeah,
factor in, and you can't. And again, God of War is an interesting choice because you can't tell me you can't handle someone that's super powerful because you handled Kratos.
yeah.
I'm sorry. The moment Kratos became as big as he was, you can't tell me. Hell, Kratos is the reason why you have no excuse to not make a freaking Superman game.
Well, the thing with Superman is with them trying to force Lois everywhere, you would
No, but
probably have a
I mean in terms
side.
of like power level and like
Oh,
challenges.
oh,
You can't tell me you can't make, because that's the reason why they keep saying they can't. It's hard to make a Superman game, and I'm like, they literally made a God of War game where the guy is basically badass Superman.
yeah, it works. I mean, the thing is, with their worlds,
Mm-hmm.
with Wonder Woman's world, you can make her game because you can base it off of Themyscira and Olympus. You can. Um, and she's more of a globetrotter, you know. Um, but with Superman, he's so confined with
Mm-hmm.
Metropolis. and his supporting cast, trying to push them, and they're just civilians. You know, it, it's boring. So you can't really. How can you make this interesting? What story can you tell with Superman that can actually get people to want the game?
Exactly.
And and I mean, who would want to have a side like mission with Lois?
Well, no
Really?
one would, because knowing the way they handled the Spider-Man game, there'd be a mission where you play as Lois. In that case, I would if I were playing that and they forced me to play as Lois, I would intentionally fail every mission just so I could see Lois Lane fail. That's me.
I mean, if she
So
can go up,
yeah,
if
go
you
ahead.
can like make her go up on top of a roof, and
Yeah. So then we get Justice League Mortal, which I low key want to see this movie, but I'm gonna tell you guys this right now. We will be doing a reading of the script with this, and Britt, you have to play Wonder Woman.
oh, wonderful. Yeah, I will.
So tell
It's
us about
exciting.
Mortal.
Okay, so this movie was in production. This was going to be the first to actually go pretty smoothly until I think was it a strike
Yeah, there was a
that
writer's strike. Interesting how that turned out, huh?
right, and the movie was canceled. But of course we got to see some of the storyboards and the script. With this, Wonder Woman does have a little bit more of a narration role. She is a leader, and she has a fight with Superman, and they're basically adapt and sacrifice. With Max Lord, Diana and Clark's fight is very brutal from reading the script and seeing some of the boards. Um, The only thing, of course, as always, they have a mention of Lois out of nowhere. So the idea is Clark is possessed, of course, and he's thinking of Doomsday. And I think Doomsday killed Lois, so he's, fighting
Mm.
everyone. Um, but to snap him out of it, I believe he um, hears Laura's voice or sees her. And then I think she says something about like Diana, referring to Diana, and he finally snaps out of it and sees Diana. And he's very apologetic to her, and he wraps his cape around her, trying to console her of their fight. Um, throughout there's another scene of them from Flash's perspective, and it says that it's kind of given a romantic vibe. Their whole kind of dialogue together is very old friends, but you know that there's tension between them. Don't know if they were together in the past, or just having that tension. So yeah, this is a much better script than the Bill script,
Hmm.
because Diana was not worshiping anyone. She's just,
In fact, she was the one
actually,
being worshipped. Really, when you think about it.
yeah, and she was very much a leader in going into the fight.
And actually,
And
what's interesting, they gave her an exotic look in this. She may even have
right,
the gray eyes.
I think
I'm kind of
let's
seeing gray, and maybe just the picture, but I'm kind of seeing gray eyes.
let me see. I have to see it zoom in a little. Um I think she had let's see.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull it up
Yes,
on the
she does
screen.
have gray eyes.
There you go.
Hold on, let me zoom in a little bit more, but
Yeah, I'm
it
seeing the
looks
gray
like,
eyes on that picture specifically. I'm trying to find another picture of her as Wonder Woman so I can see,
and if
because I'm.
so, that is exactly, you know,
Yep, it's that gray eyes. Thank
perfect.
you. Can we get that movie now? Call everyone
I
back.
mean, they can honestly adapt this at, well, with WB DC being broke, they can't have
Can we at
a
least
district,
get? Can we at least have this as a graphic novel?
something like
That's the
that.
thing.
That would
That's the
be,
thing. DC should be taking all these movies that never got made and just making them graphic novels.
oh wow. See, you should work for DC
I'm
because
telling you, you could call it the Lost Stories. I guarantee you, these would sell.
you should go ahead and copyright that, or just
I'm
in
telling you,
case.
I can't take credit for that. I see so many people recommending that, but I'm like, just do
Okay.
this. I guarantee you, this would get comic sales up. You kidding me?
That's true. That's
Can you
definitely
imagine a
true.
varied cover of that by Jim Lee? Or they could recreate all of the little character posters here as with like famous like DC artists. I'm telling you, do this. You can even do
Yeah,
the super. You can even do the Tim Burton Superman movie. You could do the original Superman script. You could do Superman Flyby. There's no limit to what you can do here because you can't tell me it's too expensive.
I mean, because DC, they need new stories anyway. So yeah, taking old scripts and turning them into graphic novels, that pretty much is the cheapest way to go.
Well,
But
plus with
it's
this, you
also,
even here's the advantage. You don't even have to design the costumes; they're right there.
right,
This thing requires the most minimal effort.
it's honestly, all you're doing is just hiring an artist. That's
That's
really all
really
you're
what you're
doing.
doing, and maybe a writer to like turn the script into a comic script and like clean
Yeah,
up the dialogue and stuff.
yeah,
It's
clean up
it's
just a
not
little
that
bit.
much. Not that
Yeah,
much.
yeah. But these again, ideas, fans have. DC, they just,
They don't.
as a
They clearly don't.
company, yeah, as a company, it's very embarrassing that they just can't think.
Yep, they really can't. And these people are all business majors. But anyway, now we're gonna go to the Speaking of the comics, as a matter of fact, that was a totally unintended transition. So to the comics, and we're gonna talk about all these factors. And let's go. So Marston's Wonder Woman was interesting to say the least.
Yes, it was very interesting. He created the lie detector, so that is where the inspiration of the lasso came from. He's very interested in bondage, that
Mm-hmm.
type thing of polygamous relationship. But his wife, Elizabeth, and she is the one that basically gave the inspiration for Wonder Woman. He wanted to make a superhero, but she said for him to make her a woman. Then their partner, Olive, she was basically like the physical inspiration
Mm-hmm.
for Diana's look. Then you have the fact of what Diana represented, which, let me get the quote so
By the
I
way, did
can.
you see the movie that they made about the about Marston and how he made Wonder Woman? They actually made a movie.
Yeah, I did see that. Very interesting.
Really good.
Yeah, it was. So, Marston, he was first, her name was going to be Suprema, which
Hmm.
honestly, if a legacy character for Diana, as just a type of Easter egg, or
That would have been a better name for Trinity, huh?
again, not creative enough.
I know. And he claims he went through like all these is inspired by all these different eras of Wonder Woman. You didn't think to do this because honestly, that name makes more sense than Trinity.
Yeah, Trinity, from a marketing standpoint, you only think of the Trinity, but Suprema, you will only actually think of Superman, like if she's a Superman character. So
Hmm.
you're still kind of, you know, it's a catch-22 type thing with
At
that.
least, the Suprema is like based in Wonder Woman lore.
True. So, okay, so here's the Wonder Woman quote from 1943. Not even girls want to be girls so long as our feminine archetype lacks force, strength, and power. Not wanting to be girls, they don't want to be tender, submissive, peace-loving as good women are. Women's strong qualities have become despised because of their weaknesses. The obvious remedy is to create a feminine character with all the strength of Superman, plus all the allure of a good and beautiful woman. So basically, it is, if you think of a woman that is, kind and gentle, then she's weak. If you think of a woman that's strong and, just this independent, then she's a female dog or something like that. So it's very much a catch-22, double-edged sword, everything like that, when becoming a woman or when being a woman. And so what Diana represents, though, is you can be kind, gentle, peaceful, and loving. But at the same time, you can kick somebody's ass.
Oh,
You
and Wonder
can be
Woman does
strong.
that very well.
Yeah,
Very well.
you can be independent. And that is just fine. And she is fighting for that gender equality, for that look of, and the one thing that Tom King did get right a little bit
He got
was the
something right?
was the was the issue of the little boy who, felt like being a Wonder Woman fan, he shouldn't be because he's a boy. And it's kind of like,
But then
no.
he followed it up with the Amazons wanting to kill that boy when they brought her to, and she brought him to the island. That's the thing.
Yeah.
That was the problem with it. Whenever he got it right, he would then do stuff immediately afterwards that would undermine it. It's like, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, if you want to show a boy loving the Wonder Woman and the Amazons, why would you have the Amazons be rude to him? Like it's just, and especially a child that is sick.
Well, also,
That
you know that Wonder Woman's being hunted by the government. Why would she risk putting this family at risk?
I don't know.
That's why, yeah, the moment's great. It doesn't work in the story that King is writing.
Right, yeah, true. I mean, even issue 7 was just really random and so like you go shopping for like
That too.
no.
It's like that was my other problem with it. He took too long to get to the point of the story because he puts in all these other issues where like she's visiting a kid, she's going shopping with Superman, and I'm like, okay, I get that, and those work in a different story, but she's dealing with a guy that's murdering Amazons. And first off, Britt, outside of issue 1, we didn't see or hear about Emily. She supposedly murdered a bunch of men. Wonder Woman says she's looking for her, but not once does she make any progress in doing that. And I'm like,
I mean,
what?
how how long does it take for you to find this Amazon,
You have
especially if she's
Batman in
pregnant?
your corner. I guarantee you Batman could find someone.
Batman, even Superman, I mean, he can find anyone with whether it's
Cyborg.
his
He can access all the cameras.
exactly. But no, this is why Tom King is so contrived with him uh with characters asking Diana, can we help? And she says no, because Tom King is trying to make this story work. Because we will ask us questions of how it, it's kind of like a scary movie,
Mm-hmm.
when the person is like running really, really slow, or
Mm-hmm.
that they hide in the most obvious of places and still end
Or
up.
like in any James Bond movie where he's running at people that are shooting at him and they don't hit him.
Yeah, it's very much something like that. It's kind of like, why are you doing this when it's such an obvious, like, contrived thing, and it creates such a plot hole. And right now, Tom King's run has such big plot craters. You know, it is
It's got plot
massive.
bottomless pits, Britt. It's
Yes.
bottomless pits. But
Yeah.
anyway, then we get to what is quite possibly the greatest run of Wonder Woman ever on the character, the George Perez run. And you know why? He wasn't reportedly, unlike Tom King, who was like told to write for Wonder Woman, he wanted to write for Wonder Woman.
Yes, I think at that time Wonder Woman was very low.
Mm-hmm.
Um of course, as we know, she's she made it why she's the third pillar is that she was made it of one of the characters that when I guess comics was like having that time where cancellations were just left and
Mm-hmm.
right,
Yeah.
her, comic kept going. And but at the same time, she still wasn't selling as best as Batman and Superman. So I guess what they wanted also was a revamp of the character without like losing what Marston had though.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, within this time though, she was very much losing herself with the mod era, with the Steve dying
Mm-hmm.
and being Steve obsessed and everything, and um, fans um, writing letters or
Mm-hmm.
those things and saying that they want Steve to be dead. So you have this thing of Wonder Woman just in still live action development hell, comics development hell.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so with and I think they also was going to, I don't know what it is, but they have this desire to sexualize her. And I think that in order for them to get more readers, they thought to do that.
Well, because
And
the majority of comic book readers are male, so I see where they're coming from, but they did overdo it a little bit.
yeah, like I know the when Perez was off the book, I think, and within the 90s or whatever, it was the Wonder Thong, you
Mm-hmm.
know, that infamous that was, yeah, a little bit too much, this too much. And
Well,
the
wasn't it also when they gave her what amounted to a biker outfit with the like the bikini top, and the short shorts?
Yeah, that was 90s. And since Marston's death, they have been trying to just reinvent Wonder Woman
Mm-hmm.
to really be in the image of what an individual writer feels, of who she is to them, of, again, their comfort in writing. And honestly, none of them have been right, you
No.
know, and the execution of their ideas have been so awful.
Wait, again, the only one that has been right, in my opinion, is Perez. That's it.
It
Everyone else has been.
because the thing with his run is that it's very female oriented.
Ah, yeah.
It's
Mm-hmm.
very much female empowerment. I mean, Diana's supporting cast, she had first, he made it a point where it was Steve's mother that crash landed on the island first.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what inspired her name to be Diana, which, it
I like that.
works. Um, and that is why Steve is an older man, and he feels that Diana is his little sister. And he's married to Etta. Etta had her role too, as did try to play on the jealousy of Diana, which doesn't really make sense, but that kind of came and went.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Julia and Vanessa, which is Diana's adoptive, mother and sister, which makes sense because Julia, um, she taught Diana, English. You know, she really took care of Diana and gave her that motherly love that Hippolyta, would have given her. So it felt like a home away from home. And as a bonus, she had a little sister.
Mm-hmm.
And all of that drama, as Vanessa got older and everything like that, and the world building that Perez did, even with Mindy, as Diana's publicist, and how messy, she was with trying to put her and Clark together, and and all of that, and just Diana really being a celebrity in a sense too. So it really worked, and it just made her world seem so much more livelier, and you really resonated with Diana.
Exactly.
Um,
So now let me ask you this, Britt. How do we fix Wonder Woman? Because the first thing that I think that they need to do is get a writer on her comics that's competent enough to understand who the character is. In other words, don't assign someone to the book that's known for writing super depressed characters.
right, and with Tom King's, his run, and we've talked about it throughout this whole show. It's a lot of ass pulls within
Mm-hmm.
his run,
Mm-hmm.
and the whole rat thing, I am never gonna get over,
Oh
and I
God.
just like no, like it's not working, and especially when he has admitted, it's kind of like he's calling out for help
He's
and
like, please
wanting to.
don't buy the book. Well, the very fact that he's telling that, remember that article came out that I think I sent to you that where he said, "Newsflash, this book is not political" or something like that, because I think he's getting pressure from DC at this point that you have to sell the book or we're gonna pull it.
It's the fact that he didn't want to have the book in the first place. So
Oh yeah,
he's trying to write Diana within the perspective of characters that he likes. So we're gonna continue to get the comparison of Batman and Superman. We're going to continue to get the borderline obsession of trying to make Steve relevant and like the exception to the rule of the military, which again, Steve has indirectly still caused a lot more deaths of Diana's Amazon sisters. He isn't helping to stop it. He isn't going against his you know fellow
he's
military people.
he's
He's
not
still
advocating. He's not advocating, saying, "Hey, listen, this is effed up. We have to stop this."
Yeah, he has not done that. He still wears the uniform, you know, everything. He if he this is supposed to be love. You're supposed to supposedly make that sacrifice, and he is supposed to not be within the military, but he still is. So, that whole thing just doesn't make any sense to me as why. And then it's the fact that um King had an interview and he talked about their relationship, and he actually had Diana and Steve say the very things he said within the interview. So
Yeah,
it's kind of
that's more
like,
like that's like Jurgens and in the Rebirth books having Wonder Woman say, "No, don't worry, don't worry, Lois, you and Clark are true." I'm like, oh my gosh. But anyway,
yeah,
they have to start with the comics and get the fundamental, get a writer in there that understands the characters. That's number one. Number two, get a Wonder Woman movie out as soon as possible. Also have competent creators behind that, because that's how you get Wonder Woman more mainstream. Because if Wonder Woman becomes way more mainstream, DC is forced to respect her a little more, because then the fan base is going to be like, why are you like not giving us anything about this supposedly awesome character? And obviously Britt and I would like her with Clark, but we're saying before you can do that, at least get the fundamental core of the character down first, then we can get to like the fun stuff.
Exactly. So pretty much exactly what you said with Wonder Woman comics. First of all, okay, so her origin of whether the Zeus origin or the clay, I would really just move away from the Zeus origin and let that be Elseworlds,
Yeah.
because it's so controversial, and it does take away, the main point of Wonder Woman and her relationship with Hippolyta, and the way that really resonates with women of how she's a reincarnated soul.
What you could
So
do is do the clay origin, but have Zeus like throw a lightning bolt, and that's like what brings her back, what like brings life to her. So it's still like she's the daughter of Zeus, but it's less like the Zeus origin, if that makes sense.
right, well, yeah. So whether you want the clay origin of all the goddesses, especially Hera, and of course, I'm biased with this, but um
You
Hera,
biased? No.
uh, um and Aphrodite, all of them breathing life into Diana, or is Elseworlds and have Zeus or whatever, just for main continuity, which is already a mess anyway, but still, main continuity, have the clay origin, because that is the most beloved. That is the one that really speaks of the female empowerment, and it's just something that is unique to Diana. For Elseworlds, I would say stick with the drama of the gods and the whole, you know, um, Zeus daddy, baby mama drama with Hippolyta. You know, just that messiness of that. That is for Elseworlds, because you can really um, get a a a deeper story with the gods. Then and yeah, with comics too, her supporting cast. Bring back Julia and Vanessa.
Yes.
Um,
And
Steve
undo what Tom King did with Silver Banshee, where all of a sudden she's like, "No, come with me
Silver
together," and I'm
Swan.
like, "Where the hell is that?" Oh, yeah, Silver Swan. I'm like, "Where the hell was that from?"
Yeah, that weirdness of turning their sister love into like this unrequited, like Vanessa is in love with her. That no, that is so weird. Um, change that. Steve, this is always my thing. You don't have to kill Steve or Lois. Like, I'm sorry,
Again,
they will be in the background,
this
but you
comes
don't have
back
to
to
kill
what
them.
I think DC should do, and I said this last week, and I said this the week before that. They should take Steve, Rick Flag, Sergeant Rock, put all the military guys in a book, call it Men of War. They did this in the new 52, and tell me a story about soldiers doing soldier operations and stuff in a world with superheroes.
Yeah, you. I mean, I don't
Agents
know
of
who's.
Argus, there's the book.
I mean, they tried an Arcus book, and it. I don't think it sold very well.
Well, here's the
But
thing.
if you can try to have, Steve do something, I
Well,
guess.
you can have Tom King write that book, because he can write spy stuff. I mean, he was a CIA operative, so it's not
Oh,
like
definitely. that is very much Tom. He will love that book because he can do as much self-inserting, until basically his heart desires
Yeah,
instead.
and I won't care. In fact, I'll even buy that book because I'm like, you know what? You're doing what I told you to do. I want to support this. But it's like it's Tom King when he got in at DC because his mom was the executive of Warner Brothers. One of the first books he worked on was so at the time of the New 52, they had revealed Nightwing's secret identity. But so they didn't kill him. What they did is they had Nightwing like fake his death, and then he became a spy, and there was the Agent Grayson era of Nightwing's history, and that's the book that Tom King wrote.
Yeah.
So do that.
Yeah. Just like you said earlier, when he said that he wants, characters that he wants to write, just give him characters that he wants to write.
Yeah, because when he does that, you get books like Mr. Miracle. And again, he's not a bad writer. He's just a bad Wonder Woman writer. There's a big difference.
Yeah. Or a bad writer of characters that he doesn't like, obviously.
Which I kind of think that's maybe a little intentional, but all right. But
yeah. Then with the movies,
yeah.
James Gunn not having a movie for Wonder Woman, you cancel
or any
Wonder
project
Woman
except for
3.
Paradise Lost, which is kind of funny because everyone's like, okay, so this is going to be comic accurate. Okay, so wait a second, if it's going to be comic accurate, why are you taking Wonder Woman out of a story that Wonder Woman's all over Paradise Lost? I know this because I read the graphic novels that they recommended. Diana plays a pretty vital role in that storyline.
Instead, it's a prequel that is Game of Thrones inspired.
So I'm like, that's cool, but why is it being based off of Paradise Lost?
It's okay. It's a cool concept, but at the same time, it again, the fan base of Wonder Woman wanting a light, more Perez accurate Wonder Woman, that light-hearted, that inspirational Wonder Woman. But with saying you want Game of Thrones type style, that's very much New 52, which is okay to a certain extent, but as an impression for the Amazons, no, that is not the way to go. Especially because of the Amazons, with the sailors and everything. You do not want that. Again, you put that in a sense of the Elseworlds, and that will be fine. But for your mainstream Wonder Woman, for your, this is who the audience will, attach themselves to. This will be, he wants, I guess, a 10-year plan. So this will be a generation of growing up with this iteration. You want a lighthearted take for Wonder Woman, and especially for the Amazons, because you don't want them to make it seem like, oh, the Amazons are just this island full of murderous women or something like that, or they hate men haters or whatever like that. No, that's not the point of the Amazons, and it takes away their story. Their story is about women who were reincarnated or who have survived from violence of the outside world. And you take that message away when you turn them into man haters, when you turn them into the violent ones, just that whole thing. Don't do that. So yeah, James Gunn, you need to have a Wonder Woman movie, and just stick, again, the best modern Wonder Woman is Perez. That's just it. That's the base. Then with animation and video games, like I said, her video game, they need to give out information about that. Yeah, right. And with animation, I would say give her a show and go through all the eras. Have it even um Jim Craig, his contract has ended for WB animation, but he did say in an interview that he loved Wonder Woman
Mhm.
um as a character. And
And that kind of shows with the way she was portrayed in that universe.
yeah, and I would say and the Tomorrow verse JSA film was a pitch of a Wonder Woman cartoon anyway.
Mhm.
So I would say that with continuing on Tomorrowverse version of Wonder Woman, her story, or just that little inspiration, whatever ideas he had for Diana, I would say let him, if he were to renew his contract, um, let him be the showrunner and writer for
You
her
know, it'd be kind of cool what they
animation.
could do if they could allow him to like revisit occasionally that continuity. He could do a Wonder Woman movie that takes place in between World War II and Crisis, and it kind of is like filling in some of the gaps. They could have it take place during all these different timelines, showing them growing up, showing her maybe at first loving Clark from afar because he's with Lois. Then Lois dies of old age, and then she finally has her opportunity and stuff.
That's exactly what he wanted to do. He wanted more JSA films.
Ah,
So,
well,
I
I
mean,
guess I'm
honestly,
smart. So,
yeah, honestly, of course, Diana, she's will never wait for Clark. It's just the
mhm.
fact of, and honestly, I would
Well,
retcon
ours
that
would, but
too.
yeah.
I would retcon that because that was such a throwaway line just to have like Earth 1 and Earth 2,
Hmm.
the Supermen to talk to each other. And it's kind of like that's the only thing that they could think of for them to have, a conversation about. But honestly, like Lois didn't exist, so she shouldn't have to exist. So showing Clark and Diana's relationship from the perspective of Diana, of course, and them, just dealing with their friendship, being in the JSA, seeing the people that they do know, um, through the decades or whatever that they are still young and everyone else is, you know, turning old and um, dying, whatever, that would work. And or adapt Immortal Wonder Woman.
There you go. And we even said that last time,
Yeah,
or two times ago. Yeah, you kind of need that.
yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot of ways to make Wonder Woman work. And she is such a fascinating, complex character that really can be more compelling than Batman and Superman.
Yeah, you
And
just have to apply yourself, and that's the thing.
right,
But so I think it's a good place to call this one. And great episode. And let us know below how you guys fix Wonder Woman. So, Britt, what have you got to tell us about your about upcoming stories?
okay. So, of course, as I said, I'm very biased about Hera. So I'm finishing up writing her the story of mothers with featuring Hippolyta as well. Then we have Shelter Chapter 2, which I'm going to get my points for that. So, be on the lookout for that. And more one shots completed the Athens story of chapter 4 of that, Donna's introduction. And yeah, just every story that I've pretty much abandoned in a way is slowly being completed with chapters and ready to share them out. And yeah, and waiting for my points to get my points back.
Oh, trust
But
me. As soon as we finish recording this, I'm gonna be racking up more points.
right, sure. And also just thanking everyone again for the support for the Instagram, and please subscribe.
Yes, please. I am a subscriber. It's great stuff. And on my side, I also want to thank you guys for subscribing me to Comics League. Because again, we're at like 1 like 49 subscribers currently, and it's because here's the thing, and it's like it means a lot when people say thank you for making these videos, but really, Britt and I really want to thank you guys for watching, because yeah, we could sit here and talk about Superman and Wonder Woman for 2.5 to 3 hours every week, and yeah, that's fine, but if no one watches it, it loses its effect. So again, thank you guys for watching and subscribing and spreading the videos. It really, really means a lot.
Yes, I totally agree.
Stay heroic, everyone. Lois Lane is Lois Lame. She belongs with General Zod. Zoe is a Maxibat for life.